उसका ग्राफ किया तो वो सेम ही था। सार्थक उसको उसकी छोटी बहन थी, वो संभालती थी उसको और वो ही उसको खाना देती थी। ये नहीं खिलाने का, उस मैडम ने बोला है अंडा खिलाओ, घर का ही खाना खिलाओ, घर की रोटी सब्जी हो तो वो खिलाओ, लेकिन वो बाहर का मत खिलाओ। तो उसकी माँ भी उसका सुनने लगी।
पंद्रह दिन में 555 ग्राम बढ़ गए।
इन्होंने घर पे ही कॉर्ड कट करते ना ब्लेड से, उससे कॉर्ड कट कर दी घर पे ही, और फिर रात से बच्चों को पिलाया नहीं इसने। इस बच्चे को ना ऐसे मतलब पीठ के पीछे ऐसे फोड़ी आ गई। डॉक्टर थे, उन्होंने कहा कि बच्चा बच नहीं सकता है। हम उसे ये भी बताते हैं कि ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग कैसे करना चाहिए, और वो ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग इतना अच्छे से करता था ना, वो बच्चा इतना कमजोर था, मतलब इतना इन्फेक्शन उसको, मतलब इतना पल्स वगैरह, लेकिन वो ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग उसने कभी नहीं छोड़ा। फिर बच्चे में धीरे धीरे चेंजेस होने लगे।
Hi, I'm Anchal Purbey. I have done my bachelor's in architecture engineering and then went on to do my master's of technology and development at Satara IIT Bombay. I was interested in the area of public health, and my master's level study gave me a platform to go further and strengthen my learnings in the field. During my master's, I did a lot of internships, academic courses, and research in health and nutrition. So Professor Satish Agnihotri, who is one of the professors at Satara, he really gave me an opportunity to immerse myself to understand the implementation at the field level, in terms of health and nutrition services, how they operate at field level. I used my December breaks to go to these internships in different settings in India, such as Nandurbar district in Maharashtra, Dhamtari district in Chhattisgarh. Both places I spent around 10 to 15 days, and also Koraput in Odisha, where I spent nearly 2.5 months. In my internship in Nandurbar, I realized how difficult it is for health and nutrition services to be implemented, given so many physical, manpower constraints. There's a huge issue of migration that affects health and nutrition status of the family, and especially children. It's really a challenge to actually get to the NRCs for treatment of the malnourished child. In Koraput in Odisha, I spent quite a long time. So I, along with one of my MTech batchmate, we went to a lot of Anganwadi centers, took height, weight of the child ourselves. So where the height measuring instruments were not there, we actually helped Anganwadi worker develop one. So my professor would actually sometimes say that, you all should spend time at Anganwadi centers the entire day and observe, how these services work. As things were aligning on the same field of health and nutrition, fortunately, my master's thesis was also on the same line, that is on nutrition supplements for moderate acute malnourished children, under the supervision of Professor Amit Arora and Professor Satish Agnihotri. I got an exposure to another area of in malnutrition altogether, which is food product development for malnourished children. While I had already developed the understanding of data in health and nutrition, and I had some field learnings at Sitara ITB, I also got the opportunity to be part of nutrition group at IIT Bombay. Through the support and collaboration at nutrition group IIT Bombay, I have also presented posters at different forums such as International Health Congress Oxford, Geneva Health Forum, and National Institute of Nutrition Hyderabad. The themes were around malnutrition using national level data sets such as NFHS and HMIS. Post my masters, I have worked with several organizations such as UNICEF, Coalition for Food and Nutrition Security, and Share India, Society for Health Allied Research and Education. So UNICEF Fellowship was a great opportunity to learn under the supervision of experts in malnutrition. And I learned a great deal on designing research studies. At Coalition, I got to interact with over a range of stakeholders by managing the knowledge management portfolio, by being part of several rounds of technical and core advisory group meetings around evidence-based advocacy, around severe acute malnutrition. Coalition, in collaboration with Nutrition Group of IIT Bombay, had organized several webinars. We had 2 webinars on NutriGarden models across India, as well as several training workshops on data collection, analysis, and visualization tools. To a lot of interested NGOs, so trainings were provided on various softwares such as Kobo Collect, Advanced Excel, Quick Data Visualization tools, Census, GIS, Tableau, etc. At Share India, I got an opportunity to work on a core health area such as tuberculosis, both in terms of indicators and variables in the TB program, as well as the developing the advocacy tools and documentation. The journey so far has been a lot of learnings and having a supportive group to always post up, such as the Nutrition Group of IIT Bombay. Thank you.
Greetings, my name is Sakshi and I am currently a PhD student at the Graduate School of Agriculture and Life Sciences at the University of Tokyo, Japan. And my PhD topic is assessing the dietary patterns of Indian adults and their association with the non-communicable disease occurrence in India. And I graduated as a master's student from Sitara in 2020, and after my graduation I worked as a UNICEF fellow from July 2020 to August 2021, and after that I started my PhD. So a bit of my background, I have completed civil engineering honors before joining Sitara, and just after finishing my bachelor's I joined Sitara as a master's student. And so before joining Sitara, I never thought that I would be working in nutrition, but I'm very grateful to now that I am working on this topic. And so my journey started through a winter internship after completing first semester of the master's program. And in that internship, I, along with one of my seniors, Savina, we went to a tribal village of Yavatmal. Actually, it was a tribal bead where we visited 8 different tribal villages, and that was the first time in my life that I realized the gravity of the problem of malnutrition in India. And after coming back from the internship, I decided to work full-time on nutrition. And so for my research seminar, I took the topic of dietary diversity and how it can play a role in eradicating malnutrition. And later for TD 609 under Dr. Rupal Dalal, I went to a village in Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra, where I worked on dietary diversity indicators of children under 2 years of age and their mothers. And there I realized that there is a lack of availability of nutritious food, and as well as a huge lack of awareness. So for my masters, I decided to work on developing a low-cost and vegetarian food product that can cater to the needs of children under 5 years of age, both in terms of protein intake and as well as a micronutrient intake. So the product that we developed during the master's program, we have applied for a patent and we are waiting to receive the results. After completing 3 semesters of my master program, I went to Hiroshima University, Japan for a special auditing program, and there I was introduced to nutritional epidemiology, and I worked on DHS4 data set of India, and I assessed the risk of anthropometric failures in association with the dairy impact of children in India under 2 years of age. And through the study we found that if a child is vegetarian but still taking dairy in the form of milk or yogurt or other forms, then he or she is in a low risk of getting anthropometric failures like stunting, wasting or underweight. So we published this study in nutrition journal, and we also presented this study in 2 international conferences. One was organized by IFPRI and the second was by USAID. So after graduating from Sitara, I was a part of many international programs as courses, and the 2 major one was I attended a summer school in international health by Ben Gurion University, and I studied the topic of global health and all the more clinical parameters of health, and how malnutrition is malnutrition in form of not just undernutrition but also overnutrition is a huge concern for not just India but also whole of the world. And recently I visited ET at Zurich, a World Food System Center summer school, and I attended the summer school 2022 Food Systems in Transition in Rheinau, Switzerland, and now I am developing more of my understanding on how malnutrition is not just one clinical parameter but more of a complex system where many factors including availability, accessibility and affordability affect the malnutrition in an individual as well as in a region or in a country. So I'm really grateful to Sitara for introducing me to this topic, and being a city-born person, I never knew the graveness of the situation we are facing, where every 1 in 2 women is anemic, and there are so many children suffering malnutrition, and especially after COVID the problem has become more grave. So I am really grateful to Sitara, and I'm really grateful to Professor Agnihotri and Dr. Rupal, who gave me the perspective to look into this problem not from a researcher's perspective, I would say, like not from a superior kind of perspective where we think that, oh, we are the problem solvers and this is not a part of my problem, but respecting the people, understanding their situation, and realizing what's the problem, what's the issues behind the problem, and not just going into the field and saying this, I know this, and applying solutions. So I'm still in my journey to understand nutrition and health, and I hope to go up in my understanding. I hope to better my understanding and my knowledge in this field, and I hope to come back to India soon and give my bit of gratitude and acknowledgement back to Sitara in any possible manner. Thank you.
Hello all. Today from the western coast we are moving to the eastern coast, to the state of Odisha, and see its journey from NFHS 4 to NFHS 5. Odisha has fared well in improving the nutritional status of its children. It has done so in reduction in child mortality as well. But within Odisha, there are strong regional variations in this performance. The coastal region, by and large, has performed well, much better. In fact, one can say it has performed on par with the southern states. But the southern and the northern regions of the state have lagged behind. It is important, therefore, to map this journey and see the need for a decentralized planning within the state itself. In drawing these maps, we have used nfhs4.indiagis.org, which you can see on your screen, and similarly nfhs5.indiagis.org. This map or this kind of a mapping, you could do it yourself by going to the site. How has the story unfolded for different facets of child malnutrition? So let us take a look at the underweight first. As in other narrations, we have used the same cutoffs for both NFHS4 and NFHS5 precisely to see the gains made in NFHS5 vis-a-vis NFHS4. So you will notice that in the underweight category, that is children under 5 years of age who are underweight, there are definitely gains in the northern region, in the southern region also. The coastal belt has held its gains, but there is a surprising position with respect to the district of Mayurbhanj, which has turned from yellow into red. But the other interesting thing is to see is the change in the data range. It has changed from 16.5 at the lower end, 51.8 at the higher end. In NFHS5, it comes down to 11 at the lower end and 46.6 at the higher end. That is, we are seeing a reduction across the spectrum. We go to stunting to see how the story has unfolded. Again, we notice coastal region holds its gains, but that green patch actually moves from the coastal side towards the northern division of the state. Southern region doesn't fare as well, but in the northern region, with the exception of Sambalpur district, you can see green patches emerging. Again, we notice the reduction in the data range. For stunting in NFHS4, it ranged from 15.3% children being stunted to 47.5% districts children being stunted. In NFHS5, this range goes down to 13.2 at the lower end and also reduces to 44 at the higher end. So this also shows that there is a uniform decline in stunting. When you go to wasting, here one can say that Odisha has put its best foot forward. You notice a contiguous green belt in the coastal and the northern districts. You also see the red band reducing, if not disappearing. Even in the southern districts, they have moved to the yellow band or the green band. Mind you, this is when we have taken the NFHS4 cutoffs. So there's a very clear gain in reducing wasting among the children as far as the NFHS5 is concerned. Again, we can see that the range has moved from 9.1 to 36.0. That was the NFHS4 range. It has come down to 7.9 at the lower end and 28.5 at the higher end. However, reduction, Mayurbhanj and its adjoining district Keonjhar, they give a little surprise in NFHS5, and that is something which one needs to look at more closely. But the same story doesn't repeat in severe wasting. In fact, we find very puzzling changes. So the northern and the southern region gains, in fact. Whereas coastal region, you can see districts losing out. That means severe wasting has gone up if you look at the NFHS 4 cutoffs. Now this has an interesting implication once again, that if wasting has gone down and severe wasting has not, or if severe wasting has increased, it means severe wasting as a fraction of wasted children has gone up. And that's a matter of concern and would again require a closer scrutiny of why that is happening. Data range again in severe wasting from 2.8% to 11.6% in NFHS 4. In NFHS 5 it comes down to 1.4, but at the higher end it goes up to 12.7. This is a departure from the past, and here again Mayurbhanj turns out to be a surprising exception, one would say. From a green patch it moves to a red patch. How has the story unfolded in the mortality regime? Now let us look at Odisha's figures. Neonatal mortality has reduced very marginally from 28 to 27, so it's not much of a reduction. But the gains in reducing infant mortality and under 5 mortality that have been significant in the rural segment, and since rural predominates, it's also significant in the total segment. But we can't say the same thing when it comes to urban IMR and under 5 mortality rate, because it has under 5 mortality rate has gone up, and that would need some kind of an attention. So if you look at the figures of under 5 mortality rate between NFHS 4 and NFHS 5 in the urban segment, it has posted an increase, which should be a matter of worry, because urban has better wherewithal to tackle infant and child mortality. We move to this issue of anemia, and again we find a very implausible picture emerging. Now this is a story across different states in NFHS 5, that anemia levels have shot up, and they have shot up almost implausibly. So here again we notice children in the 6 to 59 months age group. We keep the same cutoff as NFHS 4. There you see a northern and southern, a contiguous red belt. You see a continuous green patch and intermediate yellow. But when you use the same cutoffs, practically the green disappears, red expands quite significantly, and more interestingly, the range moves from 18.9 at the lower end, 75.3 at the higher end. From there, it straight away moves to 43.2 at the lower end. A sharp jump is more than double, and 78.7 at the higher end, which is a marginal increase. What happens in the case of children from 6 months to 59 months age group? Similar pattern can be seen when it comes to women in the 15 to 19 age group. Again, we notice if we keep the same cutoff as the NFHS 4 had, the green patch almost entirely disappears. When we come to NFHS 5, is a largish yellow belt, but again the red zones predominate. And if you see the range of percentage anemic women, it has changed from 35% to 80%. That's the range roughly in NFHS 4. Now it goes to almost 49 to 85.7. So the lower end shows a very sharp increase. Looking at this, we found no point in projecting 2 more maps, but it's more interesting to look at the range. And therefore, the next table that you see on your screen looked at the lower end, the lower bound and the upper bound, between NFHS 4 and NFHS 5, the upper bound can still be accepted. It is not implausible, but at the lower end, you see the increase, which is very sharp. For children, it moves from 18.9 to 43.2. All women in the 15 to 19 age group, it moves from 35 to almost 48 or 49, you could say. Among pregnant women, the lower end moves from 11.1 to 40.7. It's more than a threefold increase. And for non-pregnant women, it moves from 36 to 48. Now this points out towards a very implausible increase. It is almost as if the lower bound has been jacked up very significantly and a marginal rise in the upper bound. Now this prima facie looks implausible and would call for closer scrutiny of the NFHS 5 anemia data. Finally, to recap, Odisha's coastal belt has fared well in improving the nutrition status of its children. Interestingly, Puri, Jagatsinghpur and Kendrapada, these contiguous districts, show very low levels of malnutrition. So these can be the districts that we can call as closest to the goalpost in terms of being freed from undernutrition. So this whole talk of Kuposhan Mukt Bharat, which presupposes Kuposhan Mukt states and which will presuppose a Kuposhan Mukt district, I think can Odisha consider the task of taking up the challenge of having a Kuposhan Mukt block in these districts, if not the full district, or having the block or the district free from wasting and underweight. I think we leave viewers with this thought before moving to another state in our next episode. Thank you very much.